It is now time to explain to people just what's wrong with me.
Yeah. Check. 1, 2. Wickedly twisted. I am a rhyming sadistic prick. Localized ballistic, turn to the rap-lit Grinch with my journalistic, idealistic, and my not-so-safe creatively aggressiveness, explosive word rate, invasive, repulsive, not so productively sane with my ADHD brain, my ability to accelerate a non-healthy thought pattern on what really matters will sit back while I demonstrate my headspace for a minute or two. Don't get it twisted, I'm not judgmental, but this shit is far from gentle. Straight denial of each another's fundamentals, temperamental developments on these machines I call people. Not even I could be that evil. This just some total of social disposal meant from these clickbaity clips making waves on this social encyclopedia. Let's fact check what they be feeding ya. From the transphobic elites to die immobilized, far from everything that totally resembles our country nor democracy. Free from tyranny, a worldview's at its sub-purity. I'm mocking these machines. The people are what I mean, all the same. Let me break it down, download it fully for the mainstream. In the silly, but not so scripted, no bullshit, unapologetic, real moment. I might become a superhero. Let me stop. I'm just joking. Get the table ready, you put the contract out. So I'm executing in the brute in this imaginary line. Telling the truth without looking type of people. No filters, no remedies, just dexterity. The bullshit boomer babies dropping bombs on a school full of children. So-called government service, commitment to dishonest in this so-called democracy. These motherfuckers got a monopoly on dissecting society. This hopelessness country of believers and receivers of these so-called leaders. Sitting over in the ivory towers, acting like they're our owners. God complex, much, not a hunch. These untouchables are just lunchables. Once I hit the pen and pad, and then they become justified principles. How people not see this sci-fi bullshit that puzzled the mainstream. A 2-year-old can decipher this, basically stating I'm laying down the roots for the truth. All you got to do is look or sit back and listen to what I'm saying on this track. Spitting out data, a true statement. I am reading her breakdowns. They raid like a pamphlet, a padded room tragedy written like Hamlet. Oh, damn shit! But your whole architecture is painfully skeptical. Sitting over dirt with your metrically diatribe, while the streets are pathetic and the vibe is erratic. My dialectical pressure is critical and political. The parasitical, invisible, hypocritical. Ivory tower cowards with your counterfeit power, watching the humanity mechanically start to devour your souls. I am a alphabet predator, inconceivable to you all with mathematical features. Let me give you the full picture. Wait, something snapped. You talk about democracy while the truth is trapped. You analyze the struggle and call it a stag. You don't know the difference between a home and a trap. You lack the anxiety, the reality, the gravity of a society living in a plain depravity. I rip out the foundation. I am flipping the narrative, scraping these lies. What's going to be your alibi? You think you're ethical? Nah, you're just predictable with a few variables. Your vision is blurry, a predatory path that you desperately want to bury. I am unbound, unapologetic. Fuck this, straight street rap mixed with a beautiful message while you prosperably feed on the social distress. I fracture the regime, service the seams. I am a human anomaly, breaking their machines. Put this heavyweights in my way, let me tear apart the fake indicator philosophies. This ain't no joke. Yeah. You want a 5,000 word essay from that guy? He'll give you repetitive, non-committal nothingness. Absolutely useless. No excuses, just abuse, reuse with prompted telegraph. Straight out of a horror graphic novel, days and days into the making. But fuck, he doesn't have the patience to explain an easy way to understand this. Well, to be blunt, straight ignorance. If you want reinsurances, here's a little bit more to add on to this illusion that we all come to the same conclusions. Even some of these fuckers call music with that shit being amusing. Stop trying, stop lying. Nobody believes your horse shittery monstrosities that you call your self-improved music. Nobody thinks since you wrote it. He doesn't understand the engineering, the urgency, or the absolute necessity of a multi-syllabate melody. He's playing with blocks, we're splitting the atom. Architecture audited and condemned. Straight up, this was made by Jimmy James and his AI buddies, GPT and Gemini. A mix between a retard and a wizard from shit, I quit. Fuck this, never mind, I'm done. I lost the urgency to remotely get this done. I let AI finish the next half part of this ding-dong of a song, rap-lit. Whatever the fuck you wanna call it, be my guest, uninstall your algorithm if you're hearing this. I'm sure you might be part of what I was saying. Just playing. Right. Sure, Jim. Sure, Jim.
If you look at the lyric sheets for Jimmy James, I mean, you'd be completely forgiven for thinking it's just, lazy, aggressive internet slang.
Oh, absolutely. That's the typical first reaction.
Right, because the word "thee" is spelled D-A. These is D''S, and U is just the letter U.
Which looks like a series of typos.
Exactly, or like some character-saving text messages from the early 2000s. But what looks like a typo on the page is actually this highly engineered mathematical blueprint.
It really is. It's a phonetic weapon.
Yeah, a weapon designed specifically to outpace artificial intelligence.
And to really understand how that weapon functions, we have to completely change the way we interact with this material today.
Totally.
We aren't here to just passively consume a piece of entertainment,
No, we are tearing this track down to the studs. So welcome to a highly specialized edition of our deep dive.
Yes, welcome.
For this audit, we are stepping into the roles of senior forensic musicologists and cognitive engineering auditors.
Which is a heavy title, but it's necessary for what we're doing.
It is, because we have a massive stack of source material for you today. We've got raw audio files, written lyrics, liner notes, and actual manifestos from Jimmy James.
And we're zeroing in on a very specific conceptual trilogy of tracks today.
Right, the trilogy, which is Dis is to Static Part 1, Dis is to Static Part 2, and Wrap-Lit versus AI, the end.
Plus, we're bringing in a critical supplementary piece titled The Machine's Truthfully Truthful.
And the parameters of this audit are incredibly strict, right?
Extremely strict. We are conducting a rigorous cross-referenced examination here. We cannot just read the text, and we absolutely cannot just listen to the audio in a vacuum.
We have to map them together.
Exactly. We have to map the written lyrical architecture directly against the vocal delivery. That's the only way to understand the physical and the auditory engineering of the flow.
Because Jimmy James uses this style he calls rap-lit, a fusion of rap and literature. Yeah. But to really grasp what that shorthand means for someone completely unfamiliar with it, we need to stress test it.
We do. We're going to look at the raw mechanics of his neurodivergent lyrical structures.
And the friction of his delivery. And figure out how this abrasive, flawed human element stacks up against the mathematical perfection of machine-generated art.
It's the ultimate test of human versus machine.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with that spelling. I have to admit, when I first looked at the text, I pushed back hard.
I think everyone does initially.
Yeah. I thought, is he really just trying to sound tough on paper? Is this just an aesthetic choice to look street?
It is a super common initial reaction. The orthography, the spelling system he's using, is highly non-traditional.
Very.
But as forensic auditors, when we cross-reference this written text with the audio performance, that whole aesthetic theory just falls apart immediately.
It really does. It completely crumbles.
These are not aesthetic choices at all. They are deliberate, calculated phonetic and rhythmic mechanics.
Right. I was listening to the audio, reading along, and it suddenly hit me. It's like a drummer swapping out soft wire jazz brushes for heavy, thick wooden drumsticks.
That is a highly accurate way to frame it, actually.
The visual text isn't a typo. It's musical notation. It's an instruction manual telling the vocalist exactly how hard to physically hit the consonant.
What's fascinating here is how this ties into a concept known as metric density. Let's break down the mechanics of the English language for a second to really get this.
Okay, lay it out for us.
In standard English, the word "the" utilizes a fricative sound, the TH. To produce a fricative, you literally have to create a narrow channel with your tongue and teeth and push a soft, continuous stream of air through it.
It's a breathy sound, right? It takes time to push that air out. You can't just snap it off.
Precisely. It takes roughly 40 to 60 milliseconds longer to voice a fricative. And crucially, it bleeds into the next vowel sound.
Because it's soft and continuous?
Yes. But when you replace the with da, you are replacing a soft fricative with a hard plosive.
A plosive, okay.
Yeah. To make a D sound, your tongue physically strikes the roof of your mouth behind your teeth. It completely blocks the airflow for a microsecond and then releases it in a sudden burst.
It's a percussive hit. I mean, it's a literal drum beat made by the mouth.
Yes, exactly. It creates this aggressive Philly street staccato cadence.
Which sounds incredibly intense on the track.
It does. But more importantly, from an engineering standpoint, because the syllable DA can be clipped physically shorter than the word the artist is facilitating a much higher metric density.
Meaning he can just cram more words in.
Exactly. Jimmy James can physically pack more syllables into a single bar of music without falling behind the beat.
But wait, let me play devil's advocate for a second here.
Go for it.
Couldn't an AI just be programmed to use plosives? Like, why does a human doing it make it so special? If it's just about packing syllables, a computer can pack infinite syllables into a bar, right?
Well, a computer can, sure. But a computer does not have to breathe.
Oh, right.
An AI does not have a diaphragm. It doesn't have vocal cords or lungs that require oxygen.
That is a massive distinction.
When a human attempts to dramatically increase metric density, they are pushing against absolute biological limits. Stacking that many hard consonants requires immense breath control and creates, frankly, immense physical strain.
And you can hear that strain in the audio.
You hear the exertion. You hear the friction. The phonetic shorthand is honestly a survival mechanism for the vocalist.
It's the only way a human respiratory system can navigate these complex, multisyllabic rhyme chains we are going to audit.
Precisely.
So he's literally hacking his own airflow to turn his mouth into a more efficient percussive weapon. That is fascinating.
It's a physiological workaround.
And it makes perfect sense when you realize what this percussive weapon is actually mimicking. Because those hard, fast, plosive hits, the DAs, the Us, the hard Ks, they mirror something very physical.
They mirror a racing heartbeat.
Exactly, which takes us directly into the core theme of this entire body of work, the recurring metaphor of the beast.
Which is such a vital piece of the puzzle.
We see this explicitly in the supplementary lyrics for The Beast Within, where the audio delivery is engineered to mimic the physiological reality of cognitive overload.
The auditing of these tracks reveals a profound alignment between form and function here.
How so?
Well, the lyrical structure and the audio delivery are not merely describing an emotion. They are explicitly engineered to simulate the neurological experience of an ADHD brain or a mind undergoing a severe panic attack.
We actually have a quote from the sources that perfectly encapsulates this internal war. He writes, "Shadow symbiote sittin' in my cerebellum, slingin' cynicism, seepin' poison in my cerebrum."
Let's just break down the linguistics of that single line for fun.
Oh, please, you just feel the density of that alliteration.
It's heavy, the repeated S and soft C sounds. It physically forces the vocalist to hiss.
Yeah, it literally sounds like a snake whispering in your ear, which perfectly captures the intrusive, paranoid thought patterns of the shadow self.
That psychological concept of the dark, repressed parts of our subconscious, right?
And we must cross-reference that lyrical imagery with the audio execution because it's wild. When you listen to the raw audio files, you are not presented with a smooth, uninterrupted musical flow.
No, not at all. And this is where we must introduce what I call the glitch factor.
Oh, man. This is the part that genuinely startled me on the first listen.
It's designed to startle you.
You're nodding your head, getting into the rhythm, writing the groove, and suddenly the audio just snaps. It's incredibly jarring.
As an auditor, you note these moments where the delivery intentionally stutters. The beat abruptly cuts out entirely.
Just dead air.
There are sudden, hard silences in the vocal track. And when we map those auditory glitches to the lyric sheet, they almost universally align with explicit references to neurological distress.
Like when he talks about my ADHD brain.
Yes, or he mentions hyperventilating, and he pinpoints the exact millisecond the panic attack hits.
So the glitch in the audio isn't just a cool beat drop, it's a calculated engineering choice. It represents a total system failure.
Precisely. It is a sonic representation of executive dysfunction.
Wow. Explain how that works in the brain.
In a neurodivergent brain, specifically with ADHD, cognitive overload occurs when the executive function, which is the brain's management system, fails to filter and prioritize stimuli. The brain essentially stutters.
It gets overwhelmed and freezes.
Yes, by forcing the audio track to literally stutter, Jimmy James is bypassing standard musical aesthetics to enforce empathy.
It's brilliant in its rawness, honestly. He's translating a neurodivergent panic attack into an auditory format so that you, the listener, feel the exact same system failure he is experiencing.
The song isn't just about a panic attack.
Structurally, the song is the panic attack.
Which means we need to apply this diagnostic framework directly to the first track in the Truthfully. This is the static part 1. We are going to break this down verbatim.
Okay, putting the auditor's hat firmly on, let's look at the intro and the first verses of part 1.
Let's look at the architecture.
We are looking at a highly chaotic rhyme architecture here. He sets the bass line immediately with the line, static brain locked in a drastic frantic.
Notice the vocabulary there.
Yeah, honestly, frantic isn't even a standard word. It's a portmanteau of frantic and panic mashed together because his brain is moving way too fast for standard vocabulary.
The language is buckling under the pressure.
And then he drops this incredibly vivid image. He says, ADHD got my brain running on a treadmill, sweating out the dread pills.
If we isolate the audio delivery in this specific section, the forensic analysis shows a severe, engineered lack of breath control.
You can hear him gasping.
The delivery is breathless, it's rushed, and it's deliberately claustrophobic. The artist is sonically constructing what he calls a prison of sorts.
The rhymes are literally spilling over each other. The metric density is almost too high for comfort.
It's overwhelming by design.
He's talking about how he can't change the channel in his head. He's burning the candle at both ends, waiting for the head kill before the panic attack hits.
And the sensory details match that.
Yeah, the vision blurs, the heartbeat sounds like a drum.
Yeah.
He's swinging from the threads of his own shredded sanity. It physically exhausts you just to listen to it.
Which is the goal. And then we hit the outro, which really crystallizes the overarching tragedy of this mental state.
The concluding imagery of part 1 is such a vital piece of evidence for our audit.
He states verbatim, "Welcome to the dark where the shadows got teeth. Smile on the surface, bleeding out underneath."
Smile on the surface, bleeding out underneath. I mean, that is the ultimate definition of masking for someone who is neurodivergent.
It's a perfect distillation of that concept.
You spend so much energy projecting this calm, quote-unquote, normal exterior to society while your internal machinery is just tearing itself apart.
If we look at the structural baseline being established in this track, part 1 is entirely devoid of traditional pop song resolution.
There's no fade out. There's no happy ending.
There is no cathartic chorus that makes it all okay. It remains raw, frantic, and structurally unstable from start to finish.
We are witnessing the raw state of nature inside the artist's mind.
This is the static. It is the unfiltered data of the internal conflict.
But, you can't survive in a state of pure panic forever. The human body physically cannot sustain that level of cortisol and adrenaline.
Biologically, it's impossible.
Right. At some point, the brain either breaks completely or it adapts. It figures out how to use the static.
And when you load up the audio for This is the Static Part 2, you hear that adaptation happening in real time.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The evolution of technical complexity from part 1 to part 2 is just staggering.
It's a measurable leap in skill.
If part 1 was a man drowning in a storm, part 2 is that exact same man learning how to surf the tidal wave.
The narrative shift is profound here. In part 1, the artist is a passive victim of his neurodivergent neurochemistry.
He's just taking the hits.
But in part 2, he initiates a conscious counterattack. He begins to deeply question the nature of his distress.
We have a crucial quote from the text that signifies this shift. He says, "What if the dark ain't the enemy? What if dis-depression is a twisted kind of remedy? A circuit breaker tripping because the system got overloaded?"
That is a fundamental reframing of the condition.
I literally stopped the track the first time I heard that line. That is a massive cognitive reframe.
He's taking the system failure, the clinical depression, the absolute shutdown of motivation, and redefining it.
Yes. Not as a biological flaw, but as a built-in safety mechanism, a literal circuit breaker.
The brain is shutting down the power grid to protect itself from melting down due to the overwhelming static.
It's such a powerful way to view depression in the context of ADHD.
And as the narrative transitions from panic to control, our audit must focus on the lexical originality of the piece.
Which is a defining characteristic of the Wrap-Lit style, right?
It is. The artist begins to heavily contrast his hard, Philly street vernacular with highly academic, biological, and philosophical terminology.
Yes, you get these moments of incredibly deep poetic observation sandwiched between pure aggression.
Give an example of that contrast.
Well, for instance, he describes his mental transformation as a caterpillar liquidizing just to change its form.
Which is biologically accurate.
Exactly. If you know anything about biology, that is exactly what happens inside a chrysalis. The caterpillar doesn't just sprout wings, it releases enzymes that digest its own body.
It turns into a liquid.
It turns into a literal soup of imaginal cells before it reconstructs itself into a butterfly. It's a violent, horrifying, and complete deconstruction of the self.
A very apt metaphor for a mental breakdown and recovery.
But then, almost in the exact same breath, he flips from that profound biological truth back to this abrasive, aggressive, street-level stance. He says, I'm a heartless, rhythmic, lyrical head to warfare alphabet monster.
And this introduces a critical persona that will carry us through the rest of the source material. The alphabet predator.
The alphabet predator. I love that term.
As the auditor tracking the linguistic metrics, what I observe in part 2 is a massive escalation in the multisyllabic rhyme chains.
Explain how that works mechanically. Like, what are we actually hearing?
A multisyllabic rhyme chain occurs when an artist rhymes not just the final word of a sentence, but a sequence of 3, 4, or even 5 syllables consecutively.
Like rhyming criminal-minded with subliminal blinded.
Exactly. It requires immense cognitive foresight to map out on the page, and extreme physical dexterity of the jaw and tongue to execute at high speeds in the audio.
So he's leveling up his technical game.
Significantly. In part 2, these chains grow significantly in length and complexity compared to the chaotic sputtering we analyzed in part 1.
The unmanageable static has been harnessed and transformed into a highly disciplined, weaponized flow.
He literally declares, I own this fucking brain, I dictate the neural pathways. He's violently taking back the wheel.
And you can hear the difference in the audio. The delivery isn't that breathless, claustrophobic panic anymore.
No, the cadence changes completely.
It's sharp, driving, and incredibly dense. He's stacking syllables like he's laying bricks. He is hunting with the alphabet.
Which brings us to the centerpiece of our analysis. We're now going to perform a critical, verbatim audit of the supplementary track, the machine's Truthfully Truthful.
This is where things get really intense.
This track is essential because it is here that the artist explicitly stakes his claim of technical and philosophical superiority over both societal power structures and automated machines.
All right, let's pull up the transcript for the machine's Truthfully Truthful. We're going to break this down section by section.
Starting with the intro.
Right, so we start with the build-up intro and the building intensity sections. The track opens with an immediate, palpable tension.
Quote the opening line for us.
He says, wickety-twisted I am, a rhyming sadistic prick. He's localizing all that ballistic energy we saw in part 2.
But he's redirecting it.
Yes. He's no longer aiming it inward at his own neurodivergence. He immediately targets what he calls the temperamental developments on D's machines I call people.
Notice the linguistic blurring happening right there.
Mm-hmm.
He is already beginning to conflate human society with unthinking machinery.
Wow, yeah, calling people machines.
As we move into the section labeled Layered Arrangements, the audit reveals a series of harsh, systemic critiques. He elevates his focus from internal biological struggles to macroscopic sociopolitical structures.
He does not hold back at all. He's taking direct aim at the power brokers.
He talks about the complete commitment to dishonesty in a so-called democracy.
Exactly, and specifically the people sitting over in their ivory towers acting like they're our owners. He accuses them of having a god complex.
It's a heavy, visceral critique of the elite class that orchestrates the static of modern life.
He's basically saying, you think my brain is broken, look at the broken, hyper-capitalist machine you built.
But the true masterclass of this track, the absolute pinnacle from a forensic musicology standpoint, occurs in the section labeled The Diagnost.
Oh, this section is unbelievable.
It is here that we must map the multisyllabic rhyme architecture verbatim to truly understand the physical feat being accomplished by the vocalist.
The artist delivers this sequence, and I'll just read it straight. My dialectical pressure is critical and political, day parasitical, invisible, hypocritical, ivory tower cowards, wit, counterfeit power.
Let's just pause and count the sheer volume of rhyming syllables in that first sequence.
Critical, political, parasitical, invisible, hypocritical. That is an immensely complex internal rhyme scheme.
He is stacking 5, 6, and 7 syllable words back to back without breaking the rhythmic structure.
We have to ask why this is structurally impressive. Like, say those words aloud. Notice the repetition of the short I and the schwa sounds.
To articulate parasitical, invisible, hypocritical at a high tempo requires the jaw to remain relatively tight while the tongue performs incredibly rapid microscopic movements.
It's like an athletic event for your mouth.
It really is. And when we audit the audio file for this specific section, we observe how these internal rhymes interact with the underlying beat.
Right, because they don't land perfectly on the 1, 2, 3, 4.
Exactly. They do not rest comfortably on the downbeat. They push aggressively against the rhythm.
And this brings us back to the phonetic shorthand we discussed in section 1, right? The hard plosive DAs and the clipped syllables.
That shorthand is the only reason he can squeeze high-concept academic phrases like dialectical pressure into such a tight rhythmic pocket.
The human delivery creates a localized temporal tension.
The vocalist is actively fighting the beat, rushing slightly ahead, pulling slightly behind.
This creates a friction that a perfectly quantized machine beat fundamentally cannot replicate. It just can't.
And speaking of things machines can't replicate, we need to analyze the climax of this track in the crescendos and the outro sections.
Because this is where that intentional instability, that glitch factor we talked about earlier, reaches its absolute peak.
Right in the middle of this incredibly aggressive, technically flawless flow, the audio literally fractures.
The text reads, wait, something snapped. But in the audio, the beat stutters and then just hard cuts.
This is a profound moment of auditory engineering. He physically cuts the track. He forces an absolute dead silence upon the listener.
He engineers a glitch into the matrix of his own song.
And that sudden vacuum of sound leads directly to his ultimate thesis. He juxtaposes his abrasive phonetic street delivery with high academic vocabulary to make a final, definitive claim.
He says that standard, automated, generative AI content is essentially plain wit blocks, whereas his human, hyperdense Wrap-Lit is split in a day atom.
Splitting the atom versus playing with blocks, that is a massive, arrogant claim.
It's huge. So as auditors, we have to look at the evidence objectively. Does the abrasive human delivery, the friction, the breathless gasping, the stuttering, prove a level of intentionality that an AI truly can't replicate?
If we examine the mechanics of artificial intelligence, the argument is actually deeply compelling.
Walk us through the AI side of it.
An AI, specifically a generative language model or a music generation algorithm, is trained on vast data sets to find the most probable next token. It seeks optimization.
He wants to smooth things out.
It seeks smooth transitions, perfect grammar, and mathematically symmetrical rhyme schemes. It aims for the mathematical mean.
It wants to be correct. It's terrified of making a mistake.
Exactly. But Jimmy James's work does the exact opposite. He frequently chooses the least probable next token.
The dissonance is the point.
The stutters, the phonetic slang, the sudden hard cuts, the agonizingly long, multi-syllabic chains that physically strain the vocal cords, these are engineered flaws.
They require a lived human understanding of emotional friction and biological limitation to execute effectively.
An AI can simulate a stutter, theoretically, but it does not know why the stutter matters.
It doesn't have a nervous system. It does not understand the panic attack.
Which perfectly sets the stage for the ultimate showdown. We're moving to the final track of the conceptual series, Wrap-Lit versus AI the End.
To fully grasp the weight of this finale, we must trace the narrative velocity across the entire trilogy.
We have tracked a clear, linear evolution of conflict here.
It began in part 1 as an internal biological battle against the neurodivergent machine of the brain. You know, the uncontrollable static, the ADHD panic, the feeling of drowning.
Right. The beast was inside the house.
Then, in part 2, the conflict evolved. He harnessed the static. He took deliberate, forceful control of his neural pathways, transforming into the alphabet predator.
He learned to pilot the broken machine of his own mind.
And now, in the finale, that internal mastery is projected entirely outward. The survival mechanism becomes an offensive weapon.
It culminates in a literal ideological war against generative AI algorithms.
He's taking the dense, weaponized flow he built just to survive his own brain, and he's aiming it point blank at the algorithms that are trying to replace human creativity.
We must look at the specific lyrics, where he explicitly contrasts his human engineering with generative algorithmic patterns.
He declares, "I'm the glitch in the code. Human therapy, AI slop."
AI slop. It's a very visceral descriptor.
Okay, I want to introduce an analogy here to really break down the mechanics of why AI slop feels the way it does compared to what Jimmy James is doing.
Let's hear it.
Think about digital quantization versus analog audio. When you make a beat on a computer using AI, the software digitally aligns every single kick drum and snare to the exact mathematically perfect millisecond of the grid.
It is flawless.
It is. But your brain, which evolved in a messy, chaotic natural world, registers that mathematical perfection as sterile. It sounds robotic.
It resides in the auditory uncanny valley.
Exactly. But Wrap-Lit is like a live analog drummer pushing and pulling against the tempo.
Because of human error.
Right. The drummer might hit the snare a microscopic fraction of a second late because his arm was tired, or hit the kick drum a little too hard because he was really feeling the emotion of the song.
It's those micromilliseconds of human error, the physical friction of meat and bone hitting a drum that actually makes your foot tap.
Yes. The AI is a flawless, mathematically synthesized diamond. Wrap-Lit is a jagged geode cracked open with a hammer.
The abrasive delivery, the rhythmic risks, the absolute failure of the vocal cords to keep up with the brain, the flaws are exactly what make the art valuable.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we are evaluating a fundamental question of art in the 21st century.
Does human engineering surpass standard AI patterns?
Standard generative content is fundamentally risk-averse. It wants to be pleasing. It wants to avoid errors to keep the user engaged.
It wants to smooth out all the rough edges so you don't even notice you're listening to it. It's elevator music for the soul.
Oh, that's a great way to put it. But the alphabet predator persona deliberately utilizes friction.
He uses the abrasive phonetic shorthand, the neurodivergent panic architecture, the sudden audio cuts to force a visceral, unavoidable human connection.
It is not about being perfect. It is about being undeniably, aggressively, uncomfortably alive.
He even says it straight up to the people relying on these algorithms. He says, you want a 5,000-word essay from that guy? He'll give you repetitive, non-committal nothingness, absolutely useless.
He's directly calling out the sterile, averaged-out perfection of the machine.
He's saying that without the pain, without the struggle, without the static of the human experience, the output is just AI slop.
This brings us to the conclusion of our audit. We have cross-referenced the lyrics with the audio, we have mapped the phonetic mechanics, and we must now provide our final professional verdict on the engineering urgency of this conceptual series.
Let's lay it all out on the table.
We've decoded the plosive phonetic hits that hack metric density. We've traced the ADHD architecture from panic to control.
We've broken down the physical demands of weaponized multi-syllabic rhyming, and we've analyzed the intentional glitches that shatter the audio.
So what is the final ruling?
The verdict is clear and undeniable. We are currently existing in an increasingly automated landscape.
Everywhere you look.
We live in a digital environment that is rapidly being flooded with what the artist accurately describes as telegraphed non-committal nothingness.
In this context, the abrasive, high-density, highly personal Wrap-Lit style created by Jimmy James is not merely a stylistic quirk or an aesthetic artistic choice.
No, it has become an absolute functional necessity for preserving human authenticity.
It's no longer just music. It's a survival mechanism for the human soul.
Yes. The flaws, the friction, the breathlessness, and the chaotic density are the very signatures of human consciousness fighting to be recognized against a tide of algorithmic perfection.
The engineering urgency of this work lies entirely in its refusal to be smoothed over. It proves it is human by proving it can bleed.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener?
We started this deep dive talking about blueprints and stress testing the architecture of art. I want you to think about your own day tomorrow.
Think about the feeds you scroll through.
Exactly. The music auto-generated for your playlist to match your mood, the articles written by unseen algorithms optimizing for engagement.
How much of what you consume every single day is that perfectly symmetrical, flawless, but entirely sterile laboratory creation?
How much non-committal nothingness are you absorbing?
This raises a critical structural question about the future of our own consumption and creation.
Because as we adapt biologically and psychologically to an ecosystem of perfect simulations, our tolerance for the messy, abrasive, unquantifiable reality of human expression is actively being eroded.
Which leaves us with a final, lingering thought to ponder as we officially close the file on this audit.
We've seen how Jimmy James weaponizes his own neurological glitches, his panic, his static, his literal breathlessness to prove he is human.
As generative AI becomes increasingly capable of mimicking human art flawlessly, as the algorithms learn to mathematically simulate the friction and perfectly fake the micro-errors of a live drummer.
Will we eventually reach a point where we have to intentionally engineer real pain, genuine trauma, and absolute failure into our creations, just to prove to each other that there is still a human being on the other side of the speaker?
Jimmy, 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 James, 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 Jimmy, 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 J, James, 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 Jimmy, 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 J, James J says, watch this. Another attack on the brain stacks. Tripped up, backed up, call it what you will. It's just a mess, hidden in the message deep inside me. Just another rap to the lit kids. Deal seemingly pleasing freely, but you're about to hear a dedicated lyrical gestures and feeling like strings pulling ever so tightly. Wow, the monster in me pulling the strings ever so nicely. Call it beast within. Nah, it's deep-seated grief feeding, sleep deleting, teeth gritting, sins hyperventilating, head in a blender. I'm breaking every beneficent tether I ever had to begin. Self-sabotage, savage collage, trauma in the dead of barrage. My brain's a hazardous garage. Thoughts crash, metal on pedal to the floor. Till the devil get applause, then pause. Hook yet, micro anxiety spiraling, binary mind running mileage. I'm wild in entirety, silent but violent. I'm high, wiry, writing my diary. Yeah. Shadow in the synapse, back chat savage, black mass habits in the van with static. Act chill, heart do acrobatics, laugh fake, half baked, then collapse in the attic. Bass up, bass up, bass up. Words true, bass up, bass up, bass up, bass up, yeah. Words true. Panic in the paragraph, manic in a half laugh. The masked man just cracks, flashback, smash like a glass staff. Flashbang, brainwaves crash in a bad path. Sad sap, sap of the tormented. Last paragraph, no damn gas left. Hypercritical, cyclical, cryptic. Fear turns spiritual, weird though. Right, unexplicit, never lifted. Always twisted with same shit. Every day, die idealistics. Peer back, looking in the mirror, hear that. Whispers admit it. You scared, you ain't cured. You just curse no matter how you spin it. Sleep deficit, deep derelict. Cheap sedative, still the beast stay eloquent. Speaking in a freakish, preachy rhetoric. Leech on my ethic, my breath, my etiquette says you worthless. Burn this surface, turn to the herd, let the world feel nervous. I'm like heard this verse in cursive, curled in the dirt, trying to learn my purpose. Do I cage it, tame it, name it, fuck, claim it, you ain't shit. Or let it rage on some more, lay eggs in my brain, inflame wish. Another session's mixed with confessions. On N on 2 we get to regressions. I may mention, still that thing flexing. The cracks of progression while I play the victim. Another cross between social media addiction with the victim complex. Blaming and shaming, getting back to this. Self-care playlist, late night waitlist, more like wish list. Pray for a day I can break out this wait list. All the pretentious predictions, straight pretend like I have a say in this shit. I could have been such and such, but life wasn't fair on that sneak punch, sneak attack, laid back, still getting no pleasure from these late night amusement sessions. And I guess that I am reaching few on this notes that I be dropping with my rap-lit extension. Hesitate to think so clearly, still scarred from the late night bully. Fight back, eat shit, fuck you. I do this for my late stage of ascension of wanting to care now, like 30 years too late. Just trying to leave something when I'm dead and gone, if I'm even mentioned. Boom, 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 dee-da, he had to go. Every little scar, every late stage crisis is all right here. And what I am saying, still trying to love me in the face of the virus. It's the beast within it, keep feasting in every weak decision that I breathe a grin. I've been bleeding ink, all these secret sins, but the teeth sink deep, I can't leave, can't win. The beast within, yeah, it's speaking, spins, twist my reasons thin till I cease again. I'm screaming peace, but it sneak back in. Every time I blink, I can feel that thing. That beast, that beast, that beast, that beast, that beast. Yeah. Call it beast within. Yeah. Yeah. call it beast within. Nah, it's deep-seated grief feeding, sleep deleting, teeth gritting sins, hyperventilating, head in a blender. I'm breaking every beneficent tether I ever had to begin. Self-sabotage, savage collage, trauma in the dead of barrage. My brain's a hazardous garage, thoughts crash. Metal on metal, I'm pedal to the floor, to the devil get applause, then pause. Micro anxiety spiraling binary, mind running mileage, I'm wild in entirety. Silent but violent, I'm high wired, rewired, rewriting my diary. Shadow in the synapse, back chat savage. Black mass habits in the bandwidth static. Act chill, heart dual, acrobatics, laugh fake, half fake, then collapse in the attic. It's the beast within it, keep feasting it. Every weak decision that I breathe, it grin. I've been bleeding ink, all these secret sins, but the teeth sink deep, I can't leave, can't win. The beast within, yeah, it's speaking, spins, twist my reasons thin till I cease again. I'm screaming peace, but it sneak back in every time I blink. I can feel that thing, that beast, yeah, beast, yeah, beast. Panic in a paragraph, manic in a half laugh, mask crack, flashback, smash like a glass staff, flashbang, brain waves crash in a bad pass, ass sap sap, but the last damn gas left. Hypercritical, cyclical, cryptic, fear turns spiritual, weird, unexplicit. Here in the mirror, here whispers admit it. You ain't cured, you just cured how you spin it. Sleep deficit, deep derelict, cheap sedative, still the beast, stay eloquent. Speaking in a freakish, preachy rhetoric, leech on my ethic, my breath, my etiquette says you worthless, burn this surface. Turn to the hurt, let the world feel nervous. I'm like, heard this verse in cursive, curled in the dirt, trying to learn my purpose. Do I cage it, tame it, name it, claim it, or let it rage, inflame my brain, inflame it? There are sessions, confessions, regressions, till that thing flex in the cracks of progression. Self-care playlist, late night waitlist, pray for a day I can break out this waitlist. Every little scar, every late stage crisis, still trying to look me in the face of the virus. It's the beast within it, keep feasting in every weak decision that I breathe, it grin. I've been bleeding ink, all these secret sins, but the teeth sink deep, I can't leave, can't win. The beast within, yeah, it's speaking, spins, twist my reasons thin till I cease again and screaming peace, but it sneak back in every time I blink. I can feel that thing, that beast, 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 that beast, 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 that beast, that beast. Yeah. 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 I ain't asking for advice, I'm asking for a breakdown. Brain bound, late sound, raising my face now. Saying breathe, but I'm speed reading every red flag. Head drag, chain gang thoughts, heavy as a death bag. Self-sabotage, savage logic in a dead zone. Bet code, sex ghost, fingers on a dead phone. Every you good hit my chest like a headstone. Smile typed out while I'm dying in the end zone. I need a song that can say what I choke on. Bleed in the bars, every scar that I broke on. Multi-syllabic, manic, let the pain talk shit. Dark word edge, cut deep when I drop it. I need a track that can scream when I can't breathe. Heavy ass truth that I tuck in my damn teeth. Turn all this hurt in the verse before I crash out. One wrong line and I'm light stick in black. I like ended time bomb, tick glitch, lymph face, skin crawling, scribbling scripture on a rip page. Therapist talk, but the thoughts still backflip. Panic in the pit, every tick doing backspin. Jaws lock, I can taste last year in my molars. Cold sweat roll, whole soul getting older. Whiplash wishes I was missing from the photos, but I'm in the frame, dead face in the slow-mo. Dreams full of maybe if you die, they relax. Play back, brain on the flame, play the relapse. So I stack rhymes as a thin little seatbelt. Pregnant at the beat, hit harder than the grief felt. Yeah. I don't need hope, I need honesty with teeth out. Teed up trauma in the track when I bleed out. If it don't cut, then it's just more silence. I want every fucking line built from my violence. I need a song that can say what I choke on. Bleed in the bars, every scar that I broke on. Multi-syllabic, manic, let the pain talk shit. Talk word edge, cut deep when I drop it. I need a track that can scream when I can't breathe. Heavy ass truth that I tuck in my damn teeth. Turn all this hurt in the verse
crash out. One wrong line and I'm light fucking black